do you use education as a vehicle, as an instrument, and as an arena for increasing the will, the ability, the desire, and the capacity, the consciousness, the creativity, the ability to connect with others, the sense of justice, that's capacity, to make this world a better place. And that's why I came to Boston for college public community service. That's why we brought our kids over here, I think once or twice, to a play at Wheelock. We lived on Beacon Hill. The big difference between the north slope and the southern slope of Beacon Hill and its history. But the point is that it's good to be back. And it's good to know that there are institutions like Wheelock that continue the struggle. Because while I'm not intimately aware of all of your history, I know enough of your history. And I will start there because it connects to, we're about to celebrate our centennial. And what becomes clear is that when you think of the centennial, people aren't really interested in what you did, maybe as backdrop, but they're really interested in what are you going to do. And I think the institution needs to take advantage of a birthday to reflect. Your birthday may be your 18th birthday, it could be your 21st birthday, or your 30th. But step back and pause, because believe me, nobody knows how much time they have, and nobody knows their end. And if you lived and worked in communities where people have been least well served, you know that that's a tragic state. Through violence and through illness, and things that you just thought somebody would be around for 70 years, they're not. And then, of course, when you go to countries like Colombia, and you see that the life expectancy is even less, you realize that we need to move with a sense of urgency. Unfortunately, some of us have become addicted, anesthetized by material wealth and the pursuit of power and influence, that we have forgotten the sense of urgency. Okay. The other thing, of course, is that, you know, education in and of itself is mysterious. It's like you're a gardener, you plant. You can't tell the plant when to grow and what time, but if you plant the seed and nurture the seed with some care, be sure to take the weeds out so the plant has a chance to get its sustenance. If you do that, odds are it will blossom. And when that moment comes of blossoming, your heart leaps for joy, which is what causes you to be more than an animal. It causes you to imagine. And it's the imagination that is the gift that causes you to just to feel good, to feel well, to be well. Maybe ultimately that is our purpose. So, you heard a little bit earlier from the governor and your history of education and preparing teachers. Now, unfortunately, we have gone through a period of, quote, scientific professionalization of teaching, and therefore measuring the effectiveness of teaching with spurious and surrogate measures of the transmission of knowledge and values. All in the name of science and excellence. Misguided. Totally misguided. But we're going through this fad. It's a fad. And difficult to buck the fad. I am ashamed to say that some of my students at Harvard have been some of the primary perpetrators of MCAS and BCAS and WishCAS and all other kinds of, you know, distortions. Don't get me off on this, I'm here to talk about it. But it comes back to Wheelock. Can you and will you commit yourself to prepare human beings to be leaders who happen to be, insert the word, teachers, social workers, or people who care? Because those things will change. Social work teacher, facilitator, manager, coach. I mean, we keep reinventing, you know, the vocational side. It's the avocational, you know, it is deep down why you care about that human being to cause them to have the will and capacity to grow and to contribute. To learn to define themselves as person in community, not person out of community, in community. Because it's when you see the person in community that you see how all of the gifts that they have get discovered, developed, and then shared. Okay? And then shared. So, in 1911, Carolyn Phelps Stokes, rich white lady, strong Episcopalian, spinster, never married, she said, I've been concerned about the education of Negroes, American Indians, what she called deserving whites, who were Appalachian whites, some of my ancestors in Kentucky. If you've ever been to Berea College, that's Phelps Stokes. And then she was concerned about Africans in Africa. And so when she died, she left $1 million. She said, spend this to do several things. One, the education of those people, and she just listed them because in 1911, they were at the top of the list of people who had been marginalized. And then she said, secondly, try to promote racial harmony. And maybe you can do that by educating people so that they understand that people were not civilized through oppression. And the hope was, well, if you learn more about those people that you are oppressing, oppression is cruel and unjust punishment. Maybe you'll discover that that's your cousin. It won't remove all cruel and unjust punishment, because even within families, sometimes people are unjustly punished. But at least we would overcome this consciousness that would lead people to train other people and treat them as if they're objects. And we heard this discussion, you know, well, I see we're letting troublemakers in the room. The point being is that Carolyn Phelps Stokes left some money to promote racial harmony, but to promote change and justice. Now, she was not a revolutionary, but she was a warrior. She went down to Tuskegee. She funded Booker T. Washington. She, you know, and ran it with the Episcopalian Church and, you know, other sort of notions of what was appropriate change. This is a white woman in 1911. But she did it. She put the money on the table. I am so fed up at my age with people who talk east and walk west. I am so fed up with change and rhetoric about commitment and, you know, and they talk about a commitment, at best they're going to make a contribution. Okay. So she was the kind of person who probably also supported people who came to Wheelock.